Welcome to the Blue Wall.
I'm Michael Smeltzer, and I'm very excited to have Eli Owens with me. Eli is a tight end, among other things, on the football field, 2025 Michigan commit. Eli, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. Are you in Tennessee right now? I know that's where you live, right? Tennessee?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a beautiful sunny day right now. It's calm 97 degrees outside. So,
There we go. Getting ready for senior year?
man, sucks. I don't want to be done with high school, but I mean, college is right around the corner. So,
Well, I know there's some people in Ann Arbor that are excited for you to get done with high school and get up there and play some football. If I have my dates correct, you committed around January 4th of this year. And so I was doing the math. That means you committed the week Michigan won the national championship. Is that right?
that's when I announced my commitment. I originally committed after the Purdue game, but I didn't announce it until the week of the Natty for
Got
a
it.
reason I can't remember. I mean, that was 6 months ago. But
Sure. So you announce your commitment to Michigan, and then immediately they win the national championship. So I want to know, like, what was that like, man? Where were you watching the game? Like, were you with some boys? Like, what was going on?
man, I remember I was downstairs sitting on the couch with one of my best friends. He's a real big basketball player in the Knoxville area, and he was just like, man, y'all are gonna lose, y'all are gonna lose, y'all are gonna lose, and then everybody was like texting me, telling me that I only committed to Michigan because they just beat Bama, or they were texting me because they beat Ohio State, and I'm just like, yeah, no, sure, I'll let you believe whatever you want. But no, it was really cool to be able to see your team, and like how fresh it was being your team, or I guess my team, win something so big. Um, I still, and then I get questions every day on what's happening, what's going to happen. Uh, but it's fun to kind of poke and mess around with people. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's nothing better than watching that amazing blue winged helmet come out of the tunnel right after you join the team and win that natty, right?
No, it's surreal for sure, man. It makes you wanna wish you were there. Like you want everything to hurry up and get moving. And then you actually get to where I'm at right now, and it's like I want everything to slow down. If I could go back to January, I would.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you might have a chance to play in a national championship game yourself if everything goes according to plan. But I've heard you mention that Michigan offers more than just sports, right? The academics at Michigan. So my question for you is, if sports were off the table, no football, no soccer, no basketball, what would you see yourself doing? Like, what would be your profession if sports were off the table?
Does coaching count?
That's a little bit of a cop out. Let's say sports is off the table
Okay, just
entirely.
just in general.
Yeah,
Oh Lord. I might go be a teacher just
there
so I
you
can go
go.
coach. Um, or do something around like physical therapy. Um, I'm trying to think of something that's not sports related right now. I don't know. I've always thought I could be an actor.
There you
I don't.
go. I
I
could see
can't.
that.
I don't know if I can act. But I've always thought I could do it. Um. So yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with actor.
Good answer. I like that. Now, I noticed you wear the number 44. You know, that's kind of an interesting number, and I'm curious, is there a story behind that? Is there a meaning for the number 44?
Okay. So at my high school, right? There's like I live. I'd probably say Alcoa is a 10 to 12,000 person town. It's not tiny, but it's not huge. Um, so everybody's related, and there's two numbers in our family that like run deep. Like everybody that comes up through high school, like the number gets passed down, and those numbers are 2 and 44. And 2 was already taken by the time I got, my freshman year came around. But I didn't want to anyways because my mom, she wore 44 in high school. And then my cousin, his name's TT, he's a tight end at Middle Tennessee State. And we look the exact same. Like people have said that he's been in high school for 8 years. Um, he like came up to me one day. He like came down to the middle school with the jersey and was like, "It's yours now." And I've been rocking it ever since.
That's a good story, man. And the number 2 is going to be hard to get at Michigan anyway. You got Charles Woodson and Will Johnson and Blake Corum. Like people are going after that jersey.
I don't.
And then of course, yeah, and then of course people have made comparisons to for you to Max Bredeson, who also wears 44 at Michigan. I'm not going to go down that road too much because damn near every interview I see with you, somebody compares you to Max Bredeson. So I'm going to let you just be yourself. You're going to be Eli Owens, rocking number 44 at Michigan. I love that. Let's talk about Grant Newsome a little bit. So Grant Newsome, Coach Newsome, is an amazing guy, was an amazing player at Michigan, has an amazing story, and he was your guy, right? You committed to play for him. And then, of course, the coaching shakeup happens. Sharon goes to head coach. Newsome moves to the O-line coach, and Steve Kasula comes back to Michigan from UMass. And now Coach Kasula is your coach. So tell me a little bit about what your initial reaction was when Newsome transitioned into his new role, and then what has your communication with Steve Kasula been like?
I will say, I knew that Coach Newsome was gonna leave, to go coach the O-line. I had a feeling as soon as like all the rumors around Harbaugh leaving were that he was gonna, because like let's be real here, he was always gonna end up coaching the O-line one day. It was just a matter of when and not if. And I didn't know that Coach Kasula was going to be hired as a tight ends coach, but I had faith that they would bring in a Michigan guy, like somebody that had been around the program or has the same values as everybody else in the building, which is kind of what, kept me at Michigan for committing standards. And, I finally got to meet Coach Kasula, and I love Coach Newsome. I do. I think Coach Newsome's a great guy. I committed to play football for him, but I think that Coach Kasula will be able to get more out of me than Coach Newsome not could, but I think Coach Kasula will be able to get more out of me in the long run, just because Coach Kasula isn't afraid to like light that fire. Like he's a big yeller. He'll chew you out if you mess up. And I don't know about other people, but for me personally, there are points in time where I'm going to need that in order to reach my full potential.
That shows an enormous amount of humility. And then also talking about humility, I've heard you mention redshirting, right? And I'm curious what those conversations are like when you're talking to a coaching staff. You're talking about your realistic expectations for your role on a football team like this. Every guy coming out of high school wants to get, thrown into the starting lineup right away, but it's not always realistic, especially at a school like Michigan. And so tell me about the patience of being willing to maybe redshirt, maybe learn a little bit, grow into the role at Michigan.
Now I will say, personally, I've never not started a football season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I started playing football at 5 years old. I've started every single game I've ever played from 5 to 18. But that's not college football. Like just you're playing 22-year-old, just absolute grown men. And I think that me personally, I would need to be able to be the best I can as early as I can, or like, I'm stepping on the field and I'm ready. I might need a year in the weight room, or a year to learn the offense, or a year to get faster, right? Or a year to learn under Max Bredeson. Now, with that being said, if Max does end up going to the draft this year, I'm going to try my best to get on that field. at least make the travel squad. And I think that it's important to understand what realistic expectations are because, I mean, what was the last true freshman to start at Michigan? Samaj last year, but he runs like a 3.940. I don't know if that
Yeah,
counts.
yeah.
Um, but so I think it's just for me being the fullback type, I really have to stay grounded and understand that if Max stays for his senior year, I'm redshirting. There is no way around it, and I would. And I'll take that and I'll learn and I'll make sure I'm the best football player I can be for that way. When it is my time to step up, whenever that may be, I'll be ready.
Man, I want to take a moment to talk about the kind of football player that you are, because you mentioned that normally when I pull up, a tight end's highlight tapes, you see a couple spectacular catches to start the highlight reel. And what I loved about yours was it started off with just some mean blocks where you're just pancaking some dudes into the ground. Would you say that that's the kind of player that you are, right? That you're like a hit guy's first kind of tight end and then go catch the ball second?
I love blocking. I'd always been a defensive guy. I'd always loved
Mm-hmm.
defense. Like I would have told you, if this was middle school, I would have told you I would have been an edge rusher, right? At 6'2",
Uh-huh.
220, edge rusher. Um, and I just like hitting people. I like the feeling of just taking somebody against their will and putting them in the dirt, you know? And like if I have to transition to be a center, I'll go be a center, man. Um, but yeah, I love blocking people. I love hitting somebody. And like catching the ball is cool, I guess. Um, but with my high school specifically, we run the ball a lot more than we pass the ball. So, it's like you have to have that attitude that you are just not going to beat me. I'm going to step up to the line and I'm going to have my way with you, and you can't do anything about it. And I mean, it's in Michigan, it's the same way. So,
And now with that being said, I did see you make a few nice grabs and cut it up field and juke some guys. So you definitely have that in your game as well. I've also, I've noticed you're one of the more vocal recruits. You're pretty active on social media. You're pretty proud to be a part of the Michigan program. You seem to be trying to influence some guys to commit. And so I'm curious, what guys on the team that are already committed do you feel like you might have played a little bit of a role in landing?
oh man, Lord, let's see here. If you ask me, I'd like to tell you all of them. You know, but there are a lot of kids, I didn't really get to meet until the OV. Like we had talked like online and stuff and like through Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. But like didn't really get to experience them in person until the OV or up last weekend at the barbecue. And we've all like sat down and like we've looked through the board as a group of commits and like we've all decided, okay, who do we want? Right? We want this person. We want this person. We want this person. We're like, all right, let's go get them. And we all, like in NCAA, we all just go send the house. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, good luck to you.
Is there anybody out there still floating around that you got your eye on? Some guys you might be sending some messages to, anything like that?
Man, I tell you, I've been on Andrew Marsh for what feels like
Yeah.
3 years. Babalola. We're trying to get Andrew Babalola, and then Owusu. Man, I want Owusu bad. And then, I will say, like for me specifically, I've been focusing more on linebackers, offensive realm. Um,
Hmm.
So you like DBs, receivers, that's other kids, like we've all like decided like, okay, you know, so and so and so and so, you're gonna go attack this receiver. So and so and so and so, you're gonna go attack these DBs and linemen, go get linemen. So, it's really like sophisticated in how we're trying to finish out the class.
Man, so you guys actually do that, huh? You get together as committed recruits and and talk about who you want to go target, who you want to talk to, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and I think it's necessary to build the class that you need, where everybody works together, so cohesively. Everybody flows as one, and we make sure that everybody likes each other that way. Like we're one big family, and not just a bunch of kids coming to play football.
Man, so you're talking about culture now, so that leads me into my next question a little bit. I know you visited Columbus, right? You went to Ohio State, took a look at them. Tell me a little bit about the differences between Michigan and Ohio State, Ann Arbor and Columbus. Obviously, you committed to Michigan, so you must feel more connected to the culture at Michigan. But what are some differences that you could pinpoint?
I'll never hate on Ohio State, because I was seriously considering them. But at the end of the day, you know, Ohio State, they talk about getting developed here, and it's just like a factory, right? And it's like they just churn out players and players and players and players. And when I was at Ohio State, on those visits, they never talked to me specifically, and maybe I just didn't get far enough into the process with them about what would happen if football didn't work out, right? And
Mm.
Michigan, that was like the first meeting, first visit freshman year, before we started talking football, before I saw any of the things there were to see in Ann Arbor, we set up like, hey, if you commit here, we will set you up for life. And that kind of like kept me attached, because I knew like, okay, if I go to Michigan and if I don't make it to the league, I know that there's a way out. And I think that Michigan's really good about having everybody understand that there is an end to football. Um, and they're going to make sure that your end to football isn't the end of your life. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, man. And by the way, you're a Michigan man now. I know you said you don't want to hate on Ohio State, but you could throw a little bit of shade. You know what I mean? You could throw a little shade to Columbus now.
I mean, I could potentially, yes, but like, it doesn't really make any sense to. Now with that, come November 30th or whatever, that
On
last
the
week of
football
November,
field, yeah.
on the football field, that's different. I hate you.
Mhm.
But, I also think like I there is probably an alternate reality where I do commit to Ohio State, right? And I'm
Right.
calling Michigan the team up north, and I can't stand their guts. Um, but like I think Ohio State does great things, and I think they're a good football program, and I think they do what they tell you to. They tell you that if you want to go to the NFL, they're going to get you there, and I think that it just you lose to Michigan too much, so maybe lose some more, and we can win every game for the rest of the time, or like something like that. I don't know.
Well, and that's a respectable that's a respectable answer. So I'm only having a little bit of fun with those guys over in Columbus. I know you play basketball as well. I think I saw you were a state champion, right? Yes. So and you play center.
Yeah.
So you're 6'2", if I'm not mistaken. So have you hit up Dusty May and said, hey Dusty, do you need a 6'2" center on the squad in Ann Arbor? You're gonna try to play a little ball?
Hey man, I'll tell you right now, the football team, rec league basketball team will be the best basketball team in history, man. You got you got the world's greatest 6'2" center. I know Nate can hoop. I know Jalen can hoop. I think Carter can hoop, but Carter's a baseball player.
Uh-huh.
Let's see, I think Ivan hoops, and I think Kainoa used to hoop back in the day. So there's starting five right there. You feel me? I'll rock center. I don't know. I don't know who else. They can play whatever, but I'm state tournament guarding kids who are 6'9", locking them down to 4 points,
Oh
and three
yeah.
of them were free throws. So, or no, actually, technically, all four of them would have had to been free throws. But so I think at 6'2", I can lock down Big Vlad.
There you go. Yeah, we'll have to see. I might see if I can get Vlad on here and see what he has to say about that, man. Awesome. Well, last question here. I always like to ask this. what are you listening to get prepared for a game? What gets you hyped?
Okay. So I consider myself like I'd say I'm a person who listens to a wide variety, you
Mhm.
know. So pregame, I'm a big punk rock guy. Like Paramore, Pierce the Veil. If I'm feeling a little, if I'm feeling it, I'll throw a little Panic at the Disco in there. Just because the I just think that the rock music and the punk aspect, it gets my heart racing. It gets blood pumping. Um, and then that's what I listen to like 2 hours, an hour before the game, and then the team always comes back into the locker room right before when you finish warm ups, right before you go out. That's when I bring it back. I slow it down. That's when I throw in like Drake or SZA, to like calm my nerves right before
Yeah.
you go out and the game starts.
Good answer, man. That's a good answer. I haven't heard any Panic at the Disco or Paramore yet. That's a new one. Well, man, I appreciate it, Eli. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck this season. Definitely take care of yourself. Stay healthy. We'll have to catch up after your senior year. We'll talk again before you head on up to Ann Arbor. Before we get out of here, is there anything you're working on you want to promote, or just anything you want our fans to know about you? Anything like that?
Nah, I don't know. I don't know. And if I do, I'll probably remember it in like an hour and a half when this is long gone. So I'd have to say no right now. Just go blue.
Go blue, man. I think you've done a good enough job promoting yourself. I can already tell you're going to be a fan favorite. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it. That is Eli Owens. I am Michael Smeltzer, and that was The Blue Wall.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Blue Wall with Michael Smeltzer. For more exclusive Michigan football and basketball content, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.